Hi folks, welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Victorinox 7.5-inch chef's knife. First of all, before I get into this, let me say that I have no affiliation with the manufacturer, any distributors, or any retailers. Okay, the Victorinox 7.5-inch chef's knife. First of all, let's do a size comparison. I will bring in the 8-inch version of this knife, the Victorinox 8-inch chef's knife. And you can see that the 8-inch knife absolutely dwarfs the 7.5-inch knife in size. And this might seem a little bit strange, but their measurements and the names are actually off. If you measure the 7.5-inch knife from the tip to the heel of the blade, you get about a little bit under 7.5 inches. With the 8-inch chef's knife, if you measure from the tip to the heel of the blade, it's just a smidgen over 8.25 inches, so that's a difference of 3/4 of an inch. As for the height, the 7.5-inch knife has a height of approximately 1.5 inches. The 8-inch knife has a height of approximately 2 inches. As for the width of the blade stock, let's see if I can get this to focus. The blade stock of the 7.5-inch knife is considerably thinner than the blade stock of the 8-inch knife. The blade stock on the 7.5-inch knife I measure at approximately 1.5 millimeters. Blade stock on the 8-inch knife is approximately 2.25 millimeters, so that's about 50% thicker blade stock. As for the weights, the 7.5-inch knife weighs 3.6 ounces or 102 grams. The 8-inch knife weighs 5.9 ounces or 168 grams. So it's over 50% heavier. As for the handles themselves, they're both made out of a plastic material that Victorinox calls Fibrox. It's a little bit grippy. The handles on these knives are almost identical, but the handle on the 8-inch knife is just a smidgen larger in every dimension, it seems like, about like 1/8 of an inch. It's not very significant at all. As for blade clearance, let me bring in something to demonstrate your knuckle clearance on a cutting board. Okay, on the 7.5-inch knife, your knuckle clearance is there's enough knuckle clearance to clear a cutting board. If you have thin fingers, if you have big knuckles, you might be hitting your knuckles on the cutting board. So that's one consideration of the 7.5-inch knife. The 8-inch knife, having quite a bit higher blade and approximately the same size handle, has a lot of knuckle clearance. So even if you have gorilla hands, you're not going to be hitting your fingers on the cutting board. Okay, I think that about sums it up. Oh, one thing I want to say is that Victorinox knives usually come really sharp from Victorinox. They seem to have really good repeatable quality control on sharpening. So these knives come very sharp. It's not the steel that they use for the knives. It's not a super steel, but it's decent and it's relatively rust proof. And because it's not so hard, it's pretty easy to sharpen. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye now.